Section 82 of the Book of Household Management. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Christine Blashford. The Book of Household Management by Isabella Beeton. Recipes, Chapter 35, Part 2. Almond icing for cakes, 1735. Ingredients. To every pound of finely pounded loaf sugar, allow 1 pound of sweet almonds, the whites of 4 eggs, a little rose water. Mode. Blanch the almonds and pound them, a few at a time, in a mortar to a paste, adding a little rose water to facilitate the operation. Whisk the whites of the eggs to a strong froth, mix them with the pounded almonds, stir in the sugar and beat all together. When the cake is sufficiently baked, lay on the almond icing and put it into the oven to dry. Before laying this preparation on the cake, great care must be taken that it is nice and smooth, which is easily accomplished by well beating the mixture. Sugar icing for cakes, 1736. Ingredients. To every pound of loaf sugar, allow the whites of 4 eggs, 1 ounce of fine starch. Mode. Beat the eggs to a strong froth and gradually sift in the sugar, which should be reduced to the finest possible powder, and gradually add the starch, also finely powdered. Beat the mixture well until the sugar is smooth, then with a spoon or broad knife lay the icing equally over the cakes. These should then be placed in a very cool oven and the icing allowed to dry and harden, but not to colour. The icing may be coloured with strawberry or currant juice or with prepared cochineal. If it be put on the cakes as soon as they are withdrawn from the oven, it will become firm and hard by the time the cakes are cold. On very rich cakes, such as wedding, christening cakes, etc., a layer of almond icing, number 1735, is usually spread over the top, and over that the white icing as described. All iced cakes should be kept in a very dry place. Biscuit powder, generally used for infants' food, 1737. This powder may be purchased in tin canisters and may also be prepared at home. Dry the biscuits well in a slow oven, roll them and grind them with a rolling pin on a clean board until they are reduced to powder. Sift it through a close hair sieve and it is fit for use. It should be kept in well-covered tins and in a dry place. Arrowroot biscuits or drops, 1738. Ingredients. Half a pound of butter, 6 eggs, half a pound of flour, 6 ounces of arrowroot, half a pound of pounded loaf sugar. Mode. Beat the butter to a cream, whisk the eggs to a strong froth, add them to the butter, stir in the flour a little at a time and beat the mixture well. Break down all the lumps from the arrowroot and add that with the sugar to the other ingredients. Mix all well together, drop the dough on a buttered tin in pieces the size of a shilling and bake the biscuits about 1/4 hour in a slow oven. Time 1/4 hour. Average cost 2 shillings 6pence. Sufficient to make from 3 to 4 dozen biscuits. Seasonable at any time. Nice breakfast cakes, 1739. Ingredients. 1 pound of flour, half a teaspoonful of tartaric acid, half a teaspoonful of salt, half a teaspoonful of carbonate of soda, 1 1/2 breakfast cupful of milk, 1 ounce of sifted loaf sugar, 2 eggs. Mode. These cakes are made in the same manner as the soda bread, number 1722, with the addition of eggs and sugar. Mix the flour, tartaric acid and salt well together, taking care that the 2 latter ingredients are reduced to the finest powder, and stir in the sifted sugar, which should also be very fine. Dissolve the soda in the milk, add the eggs, which should be well whisked, and with this liquid work the flour, etc. into a light dough. Divide it into small cakes, put them into the oven immediately, and bake for about 20 minutes. Time 20 minutes. Coconut biscuits or cakes, 1740. Ingredients. 10 ounces of sifted sugar, 3 eggs, 6 ounces of grated coconut. Mode. Whisk the eggs until they are very light, add the sugar gradually, then stir in the coconut. Roll a tablespoonful of the paste at a time in your hands in the form of a pyramid. Place the pyramids on paper, put the paper on tins, and bake the biscuits in rather a cool oven until they are just coloured a light brown. Time about 1/4 hour. Seasonable at any time. Crisp biscuits, 1741. Ingredients. 1 pound of flour, the yolk of 1 egg, milk. Mode. Mix the flour and the yolk of the egg with sufficient milk to make the whole into a very stiff paste, beat it well and knead it until it is perfectly smooth. Roll the paste out very thin, with a round cutter shape it into small biscuits, and bake them a nice brown in a slow oven from 12 to 18 minutes. Time 12 to 18 minutes, average cost 4pence, seasonable at any time. Dessert biscuits, which may be flavoured with ground ginger, cinnamon, etc. etc. 1742. Ingredients. 1 pound of flour, half a pound of butter, half a pound of sifted sugar, the yolks of 6 eggs, flavouring to taste. Mode. Put the butter into a basin, warm it, but do not allow it to boil. Then with the hand beat it to a cream. Add the flour by degrees, then the sugar and flavouring, and moisten the whole with the yolks of the eggs, which should previously be well beaten. When all the ingredients are thoroughly incorporated, drop the mixture from a spoon onto a buttered paper, leaving a distance between each cake as they spread as soon as they begin to get warm. Bake in rather a slow oven from 12 to 18 minutes, and do not let the biscuits acquire too much colour. In making the above quantity, half may be flavoured with ground ginger, and the other half with essence of lemon or currants, to make a variety. With whatever the preparation is flavoured, so are the biscuits called, and an endless variety may be made in this manner. Time, 12 to 18 minutes, or rather longer in a very slow oven. Average cost, 1 shilling 6pence. Sufficient to make from 3 to 4 dozen cakes. Seasonable at any time. Lemon biscuits. 1743. Ingredients: 1 1/4 pound of flour, 3/4 pound of loaf sugar, 6 ounces of fresh butter, 4 eggs, 1 ounce of lemon peel, 2 dessertspoonfuls of lemon juice. Mode: rub the flour into the butter, stir in the pounded sugar and very finely minced lemon peel, and when these ingredients are thoroughly mixed, add the eggs, which should be previously well whisked, and the lemon juice. Beat the mixture well for a minute or two, then drop it from a spoon onto a buttered tin about 2 inches apart, as the cakes will spread when they get warm. Place the tin in the oven and bake the cakes of a pale brown from 15 to 20 minutes. Time, 15 to 20 minutes. Average cost, 1 shilling 6pence. Seasonable at any time. Macaroons. 1744. Ingredients: 1/2 pound of sweet almonds, 1/2 pound of sifted loaf sugar, the whites of 3 eggs, wafer paper. Mode: blanch, skin and dry the almonds and pound them well with a little orange flower water or plain water. Then add to them the sifted sugar and the whites of the eggs, which should be beaten to a stiff froth, and mix all the ingredients well together. When the paste looks soft, drop it at equal distances from a biscuit syringe onto sheets of wafer paper. Put a strip of almond on the top of each, strew some sugar over, and bake the macaroons in rather a slow oven, of a light brown colour. When hard and set, they are done, and must not be allowed to get very brown, as that would spoil their appearance. If the cakes when baked appear heavy, add a little more white of egg, but let this always be well whisked before it is added to the other ingredients. We have given a recipe for making these cakes, but we think it almost or quite as economical to purchase such articles as these at a good confectioner's. Time, from 15 to 20 minutes in a slow oven. Average cost, 1 shilling 8pence per pound. Ratafias. 1745. Ingredients: 1/2 pound of sweet almonds, 1/4 pound of bitter ones, 3/4 pound of sifted loaf sugar, the whites of 4 eggs. Mode: blanch, skin and dry the almonds and pound them in a mortar with the white of an egg. Stir in the sugar and gradually add the remaining whites of eggs, taking care that they are very thoroughly whisked. Drop the mixture through a small biscuit syringe onto cartridge paper and bake the cakes from 10 to 12 minutes in rather a quicker oven than for macaroons. A very small quantity should be dropped on the paper to form one cake, as when baked the ratafias should be about the size of a large button. Time, 10 to 12 minutes. Average cost, 1 shilling 8pence per pound. Rice biscuits or cakes. 1746. Ingredients: to every 1/2 pound of rice flour, allow 1/4 pound of pounded lump sugar, 1/4 pound of butter, 2 eggs. Mode: beat the butter to a cream, stir in the rice flour and pounded sugar, and moisten the whole with the eggs, which should be previously well beaten. Roll out the paste, shape it with a round paste cutter into small cakes, and bake them from 12 to 18 minutes in a very slow oven. Time, 12 to 18 minutes. Average cost, 9pence. Sufficient to make about 18 cakes. Seasonable at any time. Ground rice or rice flour is used for making several kinds of cakes, also for thickening soups and for mixing with wheaten flour in producing manna croup. The Americans make rice bread and prepare the flour for it in the following manner. When the rice is thoroughly cleansed, the water is drawn off, and the rice, while damp, bruised in a mortar. It is then dried and passed through a hair sieve. Rock biscuits. 1747. Ingredients: 6 eggs, 1 pound of sifted sugar, 1/2 pound of flour, a few currants. Mode: break the eggs into a basin, beat them well until very light, add the pounded sugar, and when this is well mixed with the eggs, dredge in the flour gradually and add the currants. Mix all well together and put the dough with a fork on the tins, making it look as rough as possible. Bake the cakes in a moderate oven from 20 minutes to half an hour. When they are done, allow them to get cool and store them away in a tin canister in a dry place. Time, 20 minutes to half an hour. Average cost, 1 shilling 2pence. Seasonable at any time. Savoy biscuits or cakes. 1748. Ingredients: 4 eggs, 6 ounces of pounded sugar, the rind of 1 lemon, 6 ounces of flour. Mode: break the eggs into a basin, separating the whites from the yolks. Beat the yolks well, mix with them the pounded sugar and grated lemon rind, and beat these ingredients together for 1/4 hour. Then dredge in the flour gradually, and when the whites of the eggs have been whisked to a solid froth, stir them to the flour, etc. Beat the mixture well for another 5 minutes, then draw it along in strips upon thick cartridge paper to the proper size of the biscuit, and bake them in rather a hot oven, but let them be carefully watched, as they are soon done, and a few seconds over the proper time will scorch and spoil them. These biscuits, or ladies' fingers as they are called, are used for making Charlotte Russes and for a variety of fancy sweet dishes. Time 5 to 8 minutes in a quick oven. Average cost 1s. 8d per pound, or halfpence each. Seed biscuits. 1749. Ingredients: 1 pound of flour, 1/4 pound of sifted sugar, 1/4 pound of butter, 1/2 ounce of caraway seeds, 3 eggs. Mode: beat the butter to a cream, stir in the flour, sugar, and caraway seeds, and when these ingredients are well mixed, add the eggs, which should be well whisked. Roll out the paste, with a round cutter shape out the biscuits, and bake them in a moderate oven from 10 to 15 minutes. The tops of the biscuits may be brushed over with a little milk or the white of an egg, and then a little sugar strewn over. Time 10 to 15 minutes. Average cost 1s. Sufficient to make 3 dozen biscuits. Seasonable at any time. Simple hard biscuits. 1750. Ingredients: to every pound of flour allow 2 ounces of butter, about 1/2 pint of skimmed milk. Mode: warm the butter in the milk until the former is dissolved, and then mix it with the flour into a very stiff paste. Beat it with a rolling pin until the dough looks perfectly smooth. Roll it out thin, cut it with the top of a glass into round biscuits, prick them well, and bake them from 6 to 10 minutes. The above is the proportion of milk which we think would convert the flour into a stiff paste, but should it be found too much, an extra spoonful or 2 of flour must be put in. These biscuits are very nice for the cheese course. Time 6 to 10 minutes. Seasonable at any time. Soda biscuits. 1751. Ingredients: 1 pound of flour, 1/2 pound of pounded loaf sugar, 1/4 pound of fresh butter, 2 eggs, 1 small teaspoonful of carbonate of soda. Mode: put the flour, which should be perfectly dry, into a basin. Rub in the butter, add the sugar, and mix these ingredients well together. Whisk the eggs, stir them into the mixture, and beat it well until everything is well incorporated. Quickly stir in the soda, roll the paste out until it is about 1/2 inch thick, cut it into small round cakes with a tin cutter, and bake them from 12 to 18 minutes in rather a brisk oven. After the soda is added, great expedition is necessary in rolling and cutting out the paste, and in putting the biscuits immediately into the oven, or they will be heavy. Time 12 to 18 minutes. Average cost 1s. Sufficient to make about 3 dozen cakes. Seasonable at any time. Almond cake. 1752. Ingredients: 1/2 pound of sweet almonds, 1 ounce of bitter almonds, 6 eggs, 8 tablespoonfuls of sifted sugar, 5 tablespoonfuls of fine flour, the grated rind of 1 lemon, 3 ounces of butter. Mode: blanch and pound the almonds to a paste, separate the whites from the yolks of the eggs, beat the latter, and add them to the almonds. Stir in the sugar, flour, and lemon rind, add the butter, which should be beaten to a cream, and when all these ingredients are well mixed, put in the whites of the eggs, which should be whisked to a stiff froth. Butter a cake mould, put in the mixture, and bake in a good oven from 1 1/4 to 1 3/4 hours. Time 1 1/4 to 1 3/4 hours. Average cost 1s. Seasonable at any time. Rich bride or christening cake. 1753. Ingredients: 5 pounds of the finest flour, 3 pounds of fresh butter, 5 pounds of currants, 2 pounds of sifted loaf sugar, 2 nutmegs, 1/4 ounce of mace, 1/2 ounce of cloves, 16 eggs, 1 pound of sweet almonds, 1/2 pound of candied citron, 1/2 pound each of candied orange and lemon peel, 1 gill of wine, 1 gill of brandy. Mode: let the flour be as fine as possible, and well dried and sifted, the currants washed, picked, and dried before the fire, the sugar well pounded and sifted, the nutmegs grated, the spices pounded, the eggs thoroughly whisked, whites and yolks separately, the almonds pounded with a little orange flower water, and the candied peel cut in neat slices. When all these ingredients are prepared, mix them in the following manner. Begin working the butter with the hand till it becomes of a cream-like consistency. Stir in the sugar, and when the whites of the eggs are whisked to a solid froth, mix them with the butter and sugar. Next, well beat up the yolks for 10 minutes and adding them to the flour, nutmegs, mace and cloves, continue beating the whole together for half hour or longer, till wanted for the oven. Then mix in lightly the currants, almonds and candied peel with the wine and brandy, and having lined a hoop with buttered paper, fill it with the mixture and bake the cake in a tolerably quick oven, taking care however not to burn it. To prevent this, the top of it may be covered with a sheet of paper. To ascertain whether the cake is done, plunge a clean knife into the middle of it, withdraw it directly, and if the blade is not sticky and looks bright, the cake is sufficiently baked. These cakes are usually spread with a thick layer of almond icing, and over that another layer of sugar icing, and afterwards ornamented. In baking a large cake like this, great attention must be paid to the heat of the oven. It should not be too fierce, but have a good soaking heat. Time 5 to 6 hours. Average cost 2 shillings per pound. Christmas cake 1754. Ingredients: 5 teacupfuls of flour, 1 teacupful of melted butter, 1 teacupful of cream, 1 teacupful of treacle, 1 teacupful of moist sugar, 2 eggs, half an ounce of powdered ginger, half a pound of raisins, 1 teaspoonful of carbonate of soda, 1 tablespoonful of vinegar. Mode: make the butter sufficiently warm to melt it, but do not allow it to oil. Put the flour into a basin, add it to the sugar, ginger and raisins, which should be stoned and cut into small pieces. When these dry ingredients are thoroughly mixed, stir in the butter, cream, treacle and well whisked eggs, and beat the mixture for a few minutes. Dissolve the soda in the vinegar, add it to the dough, and be particular that these latter ingredients are well incorporated with the others. Put the cake into a buttered mould or tin, place it in a moderate oven immediately, and bake it from 1 3/4 to 2 1/4 hours. Time 1 3/4 to 2 1/4 hours. Average cost 1 shilling 6pence. Common cake, suitable for sending to children at school. 1755. Ingredients: 2 pounds of flour, 4 ounces of butter or clarified dripping, half an ounce of caraway seeds, 1/4 ounce of allspice, half a pound of pounded sugar, 1 pound of currants, 1 pint of milk, 3 tablespoonfuls of fresh yeast. Mode: rub the butter lightly into the flour, add all the dry ingredients and mix these well together. Make the milk warm but not hot, stir in the yeast, and with this liquid make the whole into a light dough. Knead it well and line the cake tins with strips of buttered paper. This paper should be about 6 inches higher than the top of the tin. Put in the dough, stand it in a warm place to rise for more than an hour, then bake the cakes in a well-heated oven. If this quantity be divided in two, they will take from 1 1/2 to 2 hours baking. Time 1 3/4 to 2 1/4 hours. Average cost 1 shilling 9pence, sufficient to make 2 moderate-sized cakes. Economical cake 1756. Ingredients: 1 pound of flour, 1/4 pound of sugar, 1/4 pound of butter or lard, half a pound of currants, 1 teaspoonful of carbonate of soda, the whites of 4 eggs, half a pint of milk. Mode: in making many sweet dishes, the whites of eggs are not required, and if well beaten and added to the above ingredients, make an excellent cake with or without currants. Beat the butter to a cream, well whisk the whites of the eggs, and stir all the ingredients together but the soda, which must not be added until all is well mixed, and the cake is ready to be put into the oven. When the mixture has been well beaten, stir in the soda, put the cake into a buttered mould, and bake it in a moderate oven for 1 1/2 hours. Time 1 1/2 hours. Average cost 1 shilling 3pence. A nice useful cake. 1757. Ingredients: 1/4 pound of butter, 6 ounces of currants, 1/4 pound of sugar, 1 pound of dried flour, 2 teaspoonfuls of baking powder, 3 eggs, 1 teacupful of milk, 2 ounces of sweet almonds, 1 ounce of candied peel. Mode: beat the butter to a cream, wash, pick and dry the currants, whisk the eggs, blanch and chop the almonds, and cut the peel into neat slices. When all these are ready, mix the dry ingredients together, then add the butter, milk and eggs, and beat the mixture well for a few minutes. Put the cake into a buttered mould or tin and bake it for rather more than 1 1/2 hours. The currants and candied peel may be omitted, and a little lemon or almond flavouring substituted for them. Made in this manner, the cake will be found very good. Time rather more than 1 1/2 hours. Average cost 1 shilling 9pence. Honey cake 1758. Ingredients: half a breakfast cupful of sugar, 1 breakfast cupful of rich sour cream, 2 breakfast cupfuls of flour, half a teaspoonful of carbonate of soda, honey to taste. Mode: mix the sugar and cream together, dredge in the flour with as much honey as will flavour the mixture nicely, stir it well that all the ingredients may be thoroughly mixed, add the carbonate of soda and beat the cake well for another 5 minutes. Put it into a buttered tin, bake it from 1/2 to 3/4 hour, and let it be eaten warm. Time, half to 3/4 of an hour. Average cost 8d. Sufficient for 3 to 4 persons. Seasonable at any time. Rich sweetmeat gingerbread nuts, 1759. Ingredients: 1 pound of treacle, 1/4 pound of clarified butter, 1 pound of coarse brown sugar, 2 ounces of ground ginger, 1 ounce of candied orange peel, 1 ounce of candied angelica, half an ounce of candied lemon peel, half an ounce of coriander seeds, half an ounce of caraway seeds, 1 egg, flour. Mode: put the treacle into a basin and pour over it the butter, melted so as not to oil, the sugar and ginger. Stir these ingredients well together, and whilst mixing, add the candied peel, which should be cut into very small pieces but not bruised, and the caraway and coriander seeds, which should be pounded. Having mixed all thoroughly together, break in an egg and work the whole up with as much fine flour as may be necessary to form a paste. Make this into nuts of any size, put them on a tin plate, and bake in a slow oven from 1/4 to half an hour. Time, 1/4 to half an hour. Average cost from 1 shilling to 1 shilling 4d per pound. Seasonable at any time. Thick gingerbread, 1760. Ingredients: 1 pound of treacle, 1/4 pound of butter, 1/4 pound of coarse brown sugar, 1½ pounds of flour, 1 ounce of ginger, ½ ounce of ground allspice, 1 teaspoonful of carbonate of soda, 1/4 pint of warm milk, 3 eggs. Mode: put the flour into a basin with the sugar, ginger, and allspice. Mix these together, warm the butter and add it, with the treacle, to the other ingredients. Stir well, make the milk just warm, dissolve the carbonate of soda in it, and mix the whole into a nice smooth dough with the eggs, which should be previously well whisked. Pour the mixture into a buttered tin and bake it from 3/4 to 1 hour or longer, should the gingerbread be very thick. Just before it is done, brush the top over with the yolk of an egg beaten up with a little milk, and put it back in the oven to finish baking. Time, 3/4 to 1 hour. Average cost 1 shilling per square. Seasonable at any time. Sunderland gingerbread nuts, an excellent recipe. 1761. Ingredients: 1 3/4 pounds of treacle, 1 pound of moist sugar, 1 pound of butter, 2 3/4 pounds of flour, 1½ ounces of ground ginger, 1½ ounces of allspice, 1½ ounces of coriander seeds. Mode: let the allspice, coriander seeds, and ginger be freshly ground. Put them into a basin with the flour and sugar, and mix these ingredients well together. Warm the treacle and butter together, then with a spoon work it into the flour, etc., until the whole forms a nice smooth paste. Drop the mixture from the spoon onto a piece of buttered paper, and bake in rather a slow oven from 20 minutes to half an hour. A little candied lemon peel mixed with the above is an improvement, and a great authority in culinary matters suggests the addition of a little cayenne pepper in gingerbread. Whether it be advisable to use this latter ingredient or not, we leave our readers to decide. Time, 20 minutes to half an hour. Average cost 1 shilling to 1 shilling 4d per pound. Seasonable at any time. White gingerbread, 1762. Ingredients: 1 pound of flour, ½ pound of butter, ½ pound of loaf sugar, the rind of 1 lemon, 1 ounce of ground ginger, 1 nutmeg grated, ½ a teaspoonful of carbonate of soda, 1 gill of milk. Mode: rub the butter into the flour, add the sugar, which should be finely pounded and sifted, and the minced lemon rind, ginger, and nutmeg. Mix these well together, make the milk just warm, stir in the soda, and work the whole into a nice smooth paste. Roll it out, cut it into cakes, and bake in a moderate oven from 15 to 20 minutes. Time, 15 to 20 minutes. Average cost 1 shilling 3d. Seasonable at any time. Good holiday cake, 1763. Ingredients: 1½ worth of Borwick's German baking powder, 2 pounds of flour, 6 ounces of butter, 1/4 pound of lard, 1 pound of currants, ½ a pound of stoned and cut raisins, 1/4 pound of mixed candied peel, ½ a pound of moist sugar, 3 eggs, 3/4 of a pint of cold milk. Mode: mix the baking powder with the flour, then rub in the butter and lard. Have ready the currants, washed, picked, and dried, the raisins stoned and cut into small pieces, not chopped, and the peel cut into neat slices. Add these with the sugar to the flour, etc., and mix all the dry ingredients well together. Whisk the eggs, stir to them the milk, and with this liquid moisten the cake. Beat it up well, that all may be very thoroughly mixed. Line a cake tin with buttered paper, put in the cake, and bake it from 2 1/4 to 2 3/4 hours in a good oven. To ascertain when it is done, plunge a clean knife into the middle of it, and if, on withdrawing it, the knife looks clean and not sticky, the cake is done. To prevent it burning on top, a piece of clean paper may be put over whilst the cake is soaking or being thoroughly cooked in the middle. A steamer, such as used for steaming potatoes, makes a very good cake tin if it be lined at the bottom and sides with buttered paper. Time 2 1/4 to 2 3/4 hours. Average cost 2 shillings 6pence. Seasonable at any time. End of section 82.